Joining us now, CEO of Airspace Link, Nichole Healander. Michael, so great to have you. You know, there is so much ambiguity around all of this. Do you have any major concerns about these sightings? And is there an explanation that makes sense to you?
Yeah, it's bothersome in a couple ways. One is at Airspace Link, we're supporting recreational pilots up into the Department of Defense, and there is an issue with just recreational pilots, and then there's Part 107 pilots that are following certain rules and can follow separate rules, and then you have public safety and sheriff's departments that have another set of rules, and then you have Department of Defense. And what's happening is there is technology out there, but maybe it's being used in fragments. And as soon as if the drone is outside the fence line of these military bases, they don't have authority. What we're looking at is some solutions and working with, I think, great example is Joint Base Charleston. That's complicated where we're working with the Air Force, but then they have general aviation, and then they're flying drones, and then each group is flying their own drones, and then people are flying drones outside the fence line in the residential area, and they're trying to put a process and a shared system in place for the military base, the people on the base, the public safety of the cities that are surrounding the area, to be able to UAS detection, who's flying where, what, and when. So that's some of the challenges we're up against is understanding who's flying where, what, and when, and making sure they have the technology, that people have the technology, because it's there. So they haven't purchased it. The rules and regulations are there. It's just how do you coordinate that between all these levels of government?
Right. Well, that's a really interesting look behind the scenes there. What are you hoping to take away from this hearing upcoming?
There is a path forward. As a service supplier of low altitude, helping support companies fly here in the United States in partnership with the FAA is a way that the local cities and the communities can start to have the technology, but also have that data exchange between the FAA and the military bases and the communities together so that they can truly understand who's doing what, where, and when. And first is what is happening, because there are drone incursions happening, but whose are they? And when it goes inside the fence line, then back outside the fence line, and there's just a lot of jurisdictional issues that need to be bubbled to the surface of how to solve that.
Right. You know, I found it fascinating that the president, before being reelected, he had criticized Joe Biden for not saying much on this topic. We had this in the setup, saying essentially that the government knows exactly what's going on. And when I get into office, I'll tell the American people. And he did tell a little bit more than President Biden, but there's still all this ambiguity that remains. What insights do you glean from that reality?
I would say probably 95% of the operations and things we're seeing were fine. There was some issues again that we're hearing, some rumblings that there was drones either removing their transponders or remote ID and going in dark, and in some cases testing these bases. But again, as soon as they're off the runway out into the city, but they still can't take off because they're in the glide path. They can't do anything, and I think there's some holes there. I think again the technology, and we have a good understanding of what's happening on the airspace, but no one else does. And that's the scary part, is that they don't know because they have no insights to what's happening over their heads, especially from a public safety agency.
You know, if you get some clear direction from this hearing that's set to happen any moment now, how quickly do you believe different entities may be able to determine what exactly is happening in our skies?
Here's what they can do is provide the technology or mechanisms through Department of Homeland Security for communities and bases to purchase the technology to understand what is that, not necessarily taking the drones down, but UAS detection, counter UAS is understanding what's out there. Also manned aircraft detection, being able to distinguish between a drone and an aircraft. If you can understand what's happening in your airspace, you at least know 95% of what's happening. Then you can isolate what those bad actors are, those 5% you don't know what are, and now you can take action. Today, just as all of them could be bad actors if you don't have the tools to understand what's happening.
Yeah, well, I'm out of time, but do you think we could get an answer this year?
Yes, I am hopeful that we will. I have a feeling this is a national security issue. We need to probably push down pretty hard to move this forward.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.